everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to another bookish video. So today I am talking about all of the dark romance books on my Kindle TBR. If you're watching this, you'll probably know that I am a co-host for the wonderful readathon Whateverthon, hosted by the lovely Maddie from Book Browsing Vlog, one of my absolute best friends here on YouTube. I am a co-host on the Beach Readers team along with Steph, Ashleigh and Cassidy, and one of our prompts is to read a dark romance. Obviously in my last video I gave you guys some summer thriller book recommendations, which is another one of our prompts. Those ones I could speak more to because a lot of them I have already read. However, this time we are talking about the books on my own TBR. So these are books that I have found on Kindle Unlimited. Every single one of them is on Kindle Unlimited, at least in the UK. I have downloaded all of these because I hope to get through as many of them as possible in the month of June. If you guys know me, you will know that very recently I read the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey, and it quickly became one of my favourite series of all time. It was the first dark romance series I have ever read, and it made me instantly question why it was the first dark romance series I have ever read, because clearly that is the genre for me. My two favourite genres are thriller and fantasy, so to put those two vibes together, we get into his favourite genre. So yeah, I was getting very excited about Whateverthon just like everyone else, and I was going through Kindle Unlimited and literally downloading every single dark romance I could find that I was excited about. So I think I have 10 recommendations for you guys today. Most of these I think are part of series, because there seems to be a lot of dark romance that are part of series, not so many standalones. Correct me if I'm wrong, but all the ones I could find, the majority of them were from series. So obviously I will mention if they are part of a series or if they are standalone. But yeah, I think we should just get into it. So without further ado, if you would like to know all about the dark romance books on my Kindle TBR, then just keep watching. So the first dark romance book I have on my Kindle TBR is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This one is part of a duology, which is the Sinners Duet. This is the first book in the duology obviously, and I have seen so many recommendations for this book. Ever since I read the Mindfuck series and loved it so much, people have been recommending this one to me as something that is quite similar. I am going to read all of the blurbs for these just because I don't know too much about the books, and it was the blurb that I read as I was going through Kindle Unlimited that got me excited about each of these books. So I thought, why not just read them to you guys too, and hopefully you can get excited along with me. So for this one it says, I loathe Alistair Shaw. The city of San Francisco thinks we're rival artists. In truth, we're predators battling for hunting ground. We never chase the same prey until the night we both laid eyes on Mara Eldritch. Sean wants to use her as a pawn in his twisted game. I'm fixated on her for a different reason. She makes me feel things I never thought I could feel. Want things I never wanted. Only she can make me lose control. I don't know if I should protect her at all costs or destroy her before she ruins me. Mara knows I'm no saint, but she has no idea she's dancing with the devil. I'm sorry, but that just sounds so good. I am so hyped to read this book. This will probably be one of the first ones I pick up for Whateverthon because I'm really excited about it. Because you've got these two guys vying for the same girl, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Flock by Kate Stewart, but obviously this one sounds a lot darker and will have very different content in it. But that whole idea does remind me of Flock, and Flock is one of my favourite romance books. I absolutely love that book with all my heart. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I can't wait to see how dark the romance can get in this one. Next up I have The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie. This one is the first book in a trilogy, the Maid trilogy I believe, and it sounds like a bit of a mafia romance, which I have never read before, but I know some people absolutely eat up a mafia romance, so hopefully I will enjoy it too. This one says, she's a romantic at heart living in the most unromantic of worlds. Nicknamed Sweet Abelly for her docile nature, Elena smiles on cue and has a charming response for everything. She's the favoured daughter, the perfect mafia principessa. Or was. Now all she can see in the mirror's reflection is blood staining her hands like crimson paint. They say first impressions are everything. In the murky waters of New York's underworld, Elena's sister is arranged to marry Nicholas Russo. A made man, a boss, a cheat, even measured against mafia standards. His reputation stretches far and wide and is darker than his black suits and ties. After his and Elena's first encounter ends with an accidental glare on her part, she realises he's just as rude as he is handsome. She doesn't like the man or anything he stands for, though that doesn't stop her heart from pattering like rain against glass when he's near, nor the shiver that goes down her spine at the sound of his voice. And he's always near, telling her what to do, making her feel hotter than any future brother-in-law should. Elena may be the sweet Abelly on the outside, but she's beginning to learn she has a taste for the darkness, for rough hands, cigarettes and whiskey-coloured eyes. Having already escaped one scandal, however, she can hardly afford to be swept up in another. Besides, even if he were hers, everyone knows you don't fall in love with a made man, right? Oh, this one sounds very taboo. Like, obviously she should not be lusting after her sister's future husband, but honestly there's just something about that dark taboo romance that is just very sensual. This one again sounds like it's gonna be very like sexy, dark, morally ambiguous, and I can't wait to read it. Next up I have Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. I've only read one Penelope Douglas book so far, and that was Birthday Girl, and I adored that book. Like, loved it so much. Cannot wait to get some more Penelope Douglas in my life. This one is part of a series, but I think they are all standalones within the series. It says Devil's Night book 1, but it also says this is a standalone with no cliffhanger. So I believe these are all like dark romances but about different people. I could be very wrong about that though. I have not done enough research. But this one says, Erica. I was told that dreams were our heart's desires. My nightmares, however, became my obsession. His name is Michael Christ. My boyfriend's older brother is like that scary movie that you peek for your hand to watch. He's handsome, strong, and completely terrifying. The star of his college's basketball team and now gone pro, he's more concerned with the dirt on his shoe than me. But I noticed him. I saw him, I heard him. The things that he did and the deeds that he hid. For years I bit my nails, unable to look away. Now I've graduated high school and moved on to college, but I haven't stopped watching Michael. He's bad, and the dirt I've seen isn't content to stay in my head anymore, because he's finally noticed me. Michael. Her name is Erica Fane, but everyone calls her Rika. My brother's girlfriend grew up hanging around my house and is always at our dinner table. She looks down when I enter a room and stills when I am close. I can always feel the fear rolling off of her, and while I haven't hurt her body, I know that I have her mind. That's all I really want anyway. Until my brother leaves for the military and I find Rika alone at college, in my city, unprotected. The opportunity is too good to be true, as well as the timing. Because you see, 3 years ago she put a few of my high school friends in prison, and now they're out. We've waited, we've been patient, and now every last one of her nightmares will come true. Oh my god, okay, I don't think I read the blurb for this one beforehand. This sounds dark. Okay, I mean, I'm intrigued. This sounds like it could be really, really, really wrong and bad, but I'm intrigued nonetheless. Let's find out in the month of June. Okay, next up I have what is probably like the ultimate dark romance, and the ultimate book that you are warned not to read but you just feel like you need to read it. It's like that situation where you're told not to push the red button, so all you want to do is push the red button, and that is Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This one, everyone talks about how absolutely goddamn awful this book is, but because they do that, I want to read it. I'm one of those people that when I read reviews for a book, a really good review can make me want to read it just as much as a really bad review can make me want to read it. Like, I need to know what all the hate is about, just as much as I need to know what all the love is about. This one says, Ryder, Garrett, Kenzo, and Diesel. The Vipers. They run this town and everyone in it. Their deals are as sordid as their business, and their reputation is enough to bring a grown man to his knees, forcing him to beg for mercy. They are not people you mess with, yet my dad did. The old man ran up a debt with them and then sold me to cover his losses. Yes, sold me. They own me now. I'm theirs in every sense of the word, but I've never been meek and compliant. These men, they look at me with longing, their scarred, blood-stained hands holding me tight. They want everything I am, everything I have to give, and won't stop until they get just that. They can own my body, but they will never have my heart. The Vipers, I'm going to make them regret the day they took me. This girl, she bites too. It literally says below that, this is a dark book. You don't say. Yeah, not gonna lie, this book sounds absolutely goddamn awful. Dark, gruesome, graphic, abusive, all the bad words. But I need to know. Like, I just can't. I need to know. Next up, I have Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. This is the first in 4 books, I believe, a series called Monsters and Muses. And I hadn't heard about this book at all until I started researching dark romances, and that title, Promises and Pomegranates, instantly drew me to it. So this one says, Elena. Why is there so many Elenas in dark romance books? What's that about? To most, Cal Anderson is a villain. Harbinger of death, keeper of souls, frequenter of nightmares, Dr. Death, Hades incarnate. They say he stole me, usurped my fiancé and filled the cracks in my heart with empty promises, imprinted his crimson fingerprints on my psyche and tried to set me free. They're not wrong per se, except it was my choice to stay. Cal. To most, Elena Ritchie is an innocent, goddess of springtime, lover of poetry, angel of my nightmares. Little one. Persephone personified. They say I ruined her, shattered her virtue and devoured her soul like a succulent pomegranate, embedded my evil as deep as I could possibly get and tried to set her free. They're not wrong per se, except it was she who ruined me. This one does say at the bottom it is not fantasy or a literal retelling, it is just a dark contemporary romance inspired by the Hades and Persephone myth. And I think this is kind of like a standalone as well, and all of the books in this are possibly like based on myths, like dark romances based on myth, I think, which makes me really want to read all the books. This one, I love anything that has anything to do with myths. Doesn't necessarily have to be a retelling, just the fact that it is like based on it really excites me, and the way that it's written, it just sounds like it's going to be so like sexy and dark, and I'm just here for it. Next up I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is the first book of 3 in the Never After series, and again this is not a fantasy retelling, it is a dark contemporary romance based on fairy tales. So obviously Hooked is based on Peter Pan, and this one says he wants revenge but he wants her more. Once upon a time there was a little boy, his belly full of laughter, his life full of joy, until one day something changed, stripped his innocence away, the hole inside making space for the devil to come and play. His dreams gone forever, he grew up way too fast, an endless night of crocodiles and watches made of glass. He grew into a villain, the taste of vengeance on his tongue, craving to make his enemies pay for the misdeeds they had done. Instead he found a darling girl and refused to let her go, for what better way to make the man pay than to steal his little shadow. This one, I mean, the way that that blurb is written does make it sound like it is quite like magical, like fantastical. I don't know. It says it's just a dark contemporary romance based on the fantasy, not a retelling. So yeah, I've heard really good things about this one. This is another one that I've had recommended to me, so hopefully I will love it. Next up I have Haunting Adaline by A.D. Carlton. This is the first book in a duology, which is the cat and mouse duet. And it does say that there is a novella that is recommended to read first, which is called Satan's Affair, I believe. So I will probably try and like bang out the novella first of all and then go on to this one. But this one says, the manipulator. I can manipulate the emotions of anyone who lets me. I will make you hurt, make you cry, make you laugh and sigh, but my words don't affect him, especially not when I plead for him to leave. He's always there, watching and waiting, and I can never look away, not when I want him to come closer. The shadow. I didn't mean to fall in love, but now that I have, I can't stay away. I'm mesmerised by her smile, by her eyes and the way she moves, the way she undresses. I'll keep watching and waiting until I can make her mine, and once she is, I'll never let her go, not even when she begs me to. I mean, this one sounds quite like sadistic, creepy stalker vibes, but it has had good ratings. I've heard some good things, so fingers crossed it's a good one. Next up I have Gothic Hannah by Runex, and this one I am really excited for because it says it is a dark academia gothic romance. I mean, does that not just sound like really good? This one says, an unusual girl, an enigmatic man, an ancient castle, what could go wrong? An outcast her entire life, Corvina Clem is left adrift after losing her mother. When she receives the admission letter from the mysterious University of Verrenmore, she accepts it as a sign from the universe. The last thing she expects though is an olden secluded castle on top of a mountain riddled with secrets, deceit and death. An enigma his entire life, Vad Deverell likes to be a closed book, but knowing exactly everything that happens in the university. A part-time professor working on his thesis, Vad has been around long enough to know the dangers the castle possesses, and he knows the moment his paths cross with Corvina, she's dangerous to everything that he is. They shouldn't have caught each other's eye. They cannot be, but a chill-inducing, century-old mystery forces them to collide. People have disappeared every 5 years for over 100 years, and Corvina is getting clues to unravelling it all, and Vad needs to keep an eye on her. And so begins a tale of the mystique, the morbid, the macabre, and a deep love that blossoms in the unlikeliest of places. You guys know I love anything gothic. I am all about the gothic. Crimson Peak is one of my absolute favourite films of all time. Galen by V.E. Schwab quickly became one of my favourite books of all time. I just love gothic. This one sounds so good. Up on this cliff with like this castle and this weird mystery about people going missing, and then this girl probably falling in love with her dark professor. This one sounds good. Next up I have The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, and this one is also described as a dark college romance. Obviously, after I found Gothic Hannah, I felt like I wanted to look for more like dark academia romances. Who could blame me? And this one is a standalone, which I'm very glad of. I think Gothic Hannah is as well. So I'm really liking this idea of these gothic dark romance standalones that I could just devour on one night. Hopefully it'll be raining and creepy when I read them, and I can just like curl under my blanket with my fairy lights and a candle and just totally get lost in the vibe. This one says, I vow You vow, we vow. Barrington University is home of the Lords, a secret society that requires their blood in payment. They're above all the most powerful men in the world. They devote their lives to violence in exchange for power, and during their senior year they are offered a chosen one. People think growing up with money is freeing, but I promise you it's not. My entire life has been planned out for me. I never got the chance to do what I wanted until Riot Alexander Archer came along and gave me an option for a better life. He offered me what no one else ever had. Freedom. I chose to be his. He made me believe that anyway, but it was just another lie. A way that the Lords manipulate you into doing what they want. After being sucked into the dark, twisted world of the Lords, I embraced my new role and allowed Riot to parade me around like the trophy I was to him. But like all things, what started out as a game soon became a fight for survival, and the only way out was death. Dark. I love this idea of like this secret society with like their weird underbelly activities and them getting a chosen one. That is a very interesting concept, and I'm really hoping like this girl, I don't think we got her name, I'm really hoping she's gonna like totally break free and just like totally like fuck shit up for them. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be a great read. Fingers crossed. And finally I have The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. This is the first book in a trilogy, which is the Vicious Lost Boys trilogy. So obviously again we have a bit of a Peter Pan reimagining, and this one is also an enemies to lovers, and you guys know I love an enemies to lovers. This one says, the stories were all wrong. Hook was never the villain. For 2 centuries, all of the darling women have disappeared on their 18th birthday. Sometimes they're gone for only a day, some a week or a month, but they always return broken. Now on the afternoon of my 18th birthday, my mother is rounding around the house, making sure all the windows are barred and the doors locked. But it's pointless, because when night falls, he comes for me, and this time, the Never King and the Lost Boys aren't willing to let me go. Yes please, I would like to read this. I'm just like really living for the Peter Pan reimaginings in the form of dark contemporary romance. I'm all for it. This one is also only like 192 pages long, and I'm thinking the other ones in the series are probably quite small as well. So hopefully I could just like fly through them all in like a weekend or even like a day. We'll see. If you like your enemies to lovers romance with hot, ruthless, morally grey love interests, you'll enjoy The Never King and the Lost Boys. You can expect hate kissing, fighting, bickering, and touch her and I'll unalive you vibes. Well, I'm all for those vibes. I can't wait. So those are the 10 dark romance books that I currently have on my Kindle Unlimited TBR. I'm really excited for most of them. Some of them I'm just intrigued by. Like I just have that morbid curiosity where I need to read them purely to see what they're all about. They may get like a 2-star review. Who knows? It's all fun and games. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some recommendations or you are similarly morbidly intrigued by some of these books. If you did make it to the end of this video, pop the hook emoji down below just for all the Peter Pan love that seems to be in these books. Pop that emoji down below just to let me know that you made it to the end of this video and that you enjoyed your time here. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, then do please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe for more bookish content from me, comment down below with any of your thoughts and feelings. I do reply to every single comment. I love you all and I will see you in my next one.